3 years. That's how long Sarah and I had been together. 2 years living together, 6 months since we'd bought our first house, a modest 2-bedroom place with a small garden that she'd spent weekends planning. I thought we were building something real, something permanent. Kevin was supposed to be ancient history, Sarah's ex from college, someone she'd dated for barely 8 months before they mutually decided they weren't compatible. That was her story anyway. When his name occasionally came up in conversations about the past, she'd wave it off with a dismissive laugh. But before we dive into this story of betrayal and hidden truths, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the next twist. And if you've ever had to deal with secrets in a relationship, drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. Kevin? God, that was so long ago. We barely even talk anymore. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Saturday evening, I was scrolling through Instagram while Sarah was supposedly out with her girlfriends for what she called much-needed girl time. She'd left around 7, wearing that black dress she saved for special occasions, claiming they were hitting some new cocktail bar downtown. That's when I saw it. A photo posted by someone named Mike_Torres_94. Group shot at what looked like a birthday party, balloons, cake, the works. And there, right in the center, laughing with her head thrown back, was Sarah. Her arm was casually draped around a tall guy with dark hair who was blowing out candles on a cake. The caption read, "Happy 29th, Kevin. Thanks for the epic party, bro." My stomach dropped. I stared at the photo for a full minute, zooming in, hoping I was wrong. But there was no mistaking that laugh, that dress, that face I'd been waking up next to for 3 years. Kevin's birthday party. She was at Kevin's birthday party. I set my phone down with shaking hands and walked to the kitchen, then to the living room, then back to the kitchen. The house felt different now, like the walls were watching me, waiting to see what I'd do. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I just sat in the dark living room and waited. She came home at 12:47 a.m. I know because I'd been staring at the clock on my phone for the past 2 hours, sitting in the armchair by the window, lights off. I heard her key in the lock, heard her humming some tune as she dropped her purse by the door. She was in a good mood, the kind of carefree happiness that comes from a night well spent. "Jake?" she called softly. "You awake?" I didn't answer. She padded into the living room, and I could see her silhouette in the doorway. "Baby? Why are you sitting in the dark?" I turned on the lamp beside me. The sudden light made her squint. "How was your night out with the girls?" I asked. She smiled, that bright, easy smile I'd fallen in love with. "Oh, it was great. We went to that new place on 5th Street, you know, the one with the craft cocktails. Lisa got way too drunk and..." I held up my phone, showing her the Instagram photo. The smile died on her face. "Jake, I can explain. Please do." She stood there for a moment, opening and closing her mouth like a fish out of water. Then something shifted in her expression. The apologetic look vanished, replaced by something harder. "Look, it's not what you think." "What do I think?" "You think I went there to hook up with Kevin or something, but it wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" She sighed and sat down on the couch across from me. "Mike invited me." "Kevin's roommate?" "He said Kevin was having a small birthday thing and that it would be weird if I wasn't there since we're all still friends." "Friends?" "Yes, friends. Adult friends who can be around each other without drama." "And you decided not to mention this to me because..." That's when she did it. The thing that changed everything. She smirked, not smiled, smirked. This little knowing expression that said she thought she was so much smarter than me. "I didn't tell you because I knew exactly how you'd react. This jealous, possessive thing you do whenever Kevin's name comes up. I knew you'd make it into something it wasn't, so I just didn't mention it." I stared at her. "You lied to me." "I didn't lie. I just didn't give you information I knew would upset you for no good reason." You told me you were going out with Lisa and the girls. I did go out with them first. We had dinner together before I went to Kevin's. Sarah. What? You lied to me. You put on that black dress, kissed me goodbye, told me you were going to a cocktail bar with your girlfriends, and then went to your ex-boyfriend's birthday party. That's lying. Her face flushed. Why does it matter? Nothing happened. It matters because you lied about it. God, Jake, this is exactly what I was talking about. You're being completely irrational. I stood up. I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight. Are you serious right now? I didn't answer. I just walked upstairs, leaving her sitting alone in the living room. But here's the thing. I wasn't angry. I was done. Monday morning, I called in sick to work and drove downtown to see David Hernandez, a lawyer I'd found online who specialized in real estate and property dissolution. So you're not married, David confirmed, reviewing the notes he'd taken about our situation. No, but we bought the house together 6 months ago. Both our names are on the mortgage and the deed. Any prenup or cohabitation agreement? Nothing formal. David nodded. Okay, so you have a few options. The cleanest would be if one of you buys out the other's share. Do you know if she'd be interested in that? I thought about Sarah's salary as a graphic designer, her student loans, her car payment. She can't afford it. Can you? Not really. Not without completely draining my savings and taking on debt I don't want. Then we're looking at a forced sale. I can draft a partition action. Essentially, you'd be asking the court to order the sale of the property and split the proceeds according to your ownership percentages. How long does that take? If she cooperates, we could have it done in a couple of months. If she fights it, he shrugged, could be 6 months to a year. I left his office with a retainer agreement and a plan. First, he'd send Sarah a formal letter outlining the situation and giving her 30 days to either buy me out or agree to put the house on the market. If she didn't respond, we'd file the partition action. That afternoon, I opened a new bank account at a different bank. I took photos of every room in the house, documenting its current condition. I quietly moved most of my savings to the new account, leaving just enough in our shared account to cover my half of the bills. Sarah and I barely spoke that week. She'd tried a few times to bring up what happened, but I'd just nod and change the subject. She seemed to think I was sulking and that I'd get over it eventually. She had no idea what was coming. The certified letter arrived on a Thursday. I was at work when Sarah called, her voice shrill with panic. Jake, what the hell is this? There's a lawyer's letter here saying you want to dissolve our property ownership. What does that even mean? I'd been expecting this call. It means exactly what it says. I want out of the house. Are you insane? We just bought this place. We're building a life together. Are we? Yes. God, Jake, you're being ridiculous. So I went to Kevin's party. Big deal. People go to parties. Sarah, it's not about the party. Then what is it about? I took a deep breath. It's about the lying. It's about the fact that you thought you could manipulate me by hiding information. And it's about that smirk. What smirk? The one you gave me when you said you knew exactly how I'd react, like you think I'm some kind of idiot you need to manage. There was silence on the other end. Jake, come on, let's talk about this like adults. I am talking about it like an adult. I'm using lawyers and legal documents instead of screaming and throwing things. You have 30 days to decide if you want to buy me out or if we're selling the house. I can't buy you out. You know I can't afford that. Then we're selling the house. She hung up on me. That evening, her sister Nicole called. Jake? It's Nicole. What the hell is going on with you and Sarah? Nicole had always liked me. We'd had good conversations at family gatherings, and she'd told me more than once that I was the best boyfriend Sarah had ever had. Did she tell you what happened? She said you're trying to force her out of her house because she went to some guy's birthday party. Is that all she told you? What else is there? I explained the situation. The lies, the secret ex-boyfriend, party, the way she dismissed my feelings about it. Nicole was quiet for a long time. "Okay," she finally said. That's pretty messed up. But don't you think you're overreacting a little? I mean, forcing the sale of your house? Nicole, can I ask you something?" "Sure. If your boyfriend lied to you about where he was going, went to his ex-girlfriend's birthday party, and then told you he did it because he knew you'd be upset and didn't want to deal with your reaction, what would you do?" Another long silence. "I'd probably kill him," she admitted. "Right. So maybe I'm not overreacting. But Jake, she loves you. She's just... Sarah sometimes makes stupid decisions. You know that about her." "Nicole, I need to tell you something else." I told her about the text I'd found on Sarah's phone 2 months ago, a 2:30 a.m. message to Kevin saying, "I miss what we had sometimes." Sarah had claimed it was sent by mistake, that she was drunk and thinking about an old friend from high school also named Kevin. Nicole didn't say anything for a full minute. "She never told me about that," she finally whispered. "Yeah. Jake, I'm sorry. I had no idea." After that conversation, the family pressure on Sarah stopped. Nicole must have talked to their parents, because suddenly no one was calling me to tell me I was being unreasonable. Sarah ignored the 30-day deadline in the lawyer's letter. On day 31, David filed the partition action. That's when things got ugly. Sarah started bringing dates to the house, different guys, always when she knew I'd be home from work. She'd cook elaborate dinners for them in our kitchen, laugh loudly at their jokes, make sure I could hear everything. The most memorable was a guy named Brad who worked in finance and drove a BMW. Sarah made him dinner on a Wednesday night, and they spent the evening on the back patio, drinking wine and talking about their shared love of hiking. "So you guys just live together as roommates now?" I heard Brad ask. "For now," Sarah said, loud enough that she clearly wanted me to hear. "Jake's going through some kind of midlife crisis. He thinks I cheated on him or something because I went to a friend's birthday party." "That's crazy," Brad said. "You're way too good for that kind of jealous behavior." I took a photo of them together from my bedroom window and added it to the folder I was keeping of evidence for the court case. The ironic thing was that Sarah's behavior was actually helping my case. In partition actions, courts sometimes consider whether one party is acting in bad faith or making the shared living situation untenable. Her parade of dates and her social media posts mocking me as insecure and controlling were perfect evidence that she wasn't interested in working things out. 2 months after filing, we had our court hearing. Sarah showed up with a different lawyer, someone her parents had hired, a family friend who specialized in divorces. I could tell he wasn't entirely comfortable with the case. "Your Honor," he began, "my client believes this partition action is premature." She and Mr. Martinez have been in a long-term relationship. They purchased this home together as a couple, and she believes they can work out their differences with counseling. The judge, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, glanced at me. "Mr. Martinez?" I stood. "Your Honor, we're not married, and there's no legal obligation for either of us to remain in a relationship we don't want to be in. I've tried to resolve this amicably by offering Miss Chen the opportunity to buy out my share, but she's declined. I have a right to liquidate my investment in the property." "Miss Chen," the judge said, "do you have the financial means to buy out Mr. Martinez's share?" Sarah's lawyer whispered something to her. She shook her head. "No, Your Honor." "Then I'm ordering the sale of the property. You have 90 days to list it with a realtor and 90 days after that to complete the sale. The proceeds will be split according to your ownership percentages, as listed in the deed." The whole thing took 15 minutes. I found a one-bedroom apartment across town and signed the lease that afternoon. It was smaller than what I was used to, but it was mine. No shared mortgage, no shared decisions about paint colors or landscaping, no need to negotiate with anyone about anything. Sarah tried every manipulation tactic in the book over the next few weeks. First, she attempted seduction. She'd walk around the house in lingerie, cook my favorite meals, suggest we watch movies together, like old times. When that didn't work, she tried guilt. She'd cry in the living room just loud enough for me to hear, call her mother, and talk loudly about how I was abandoning her and destroying our relationship over nothing. Then came anger. She'd slam doors, leave passive-aggressive notes about bills and chores, blast music when I was trying to sleep. Finally, she tried bargaining. "Jake, please," she said one evening, cornering me in the kitchen. "Can we just talk?" Really talk? I was packing my coffee maker into a box. My move was scheduled for the weekend. "What do you want to talk about?" "Us. This whole situation. I know I messed up, okay? I should have told you about Kevin's party. But the way you're handling this, lawyers and lawsuits and forcing me to sell my house, it's insane. It's not your house, Sarah. It's our house. And soon it won't be. You know what I mean?" I taped up the box and labeled it kitchen coffee stuff. "What would you like me to say? That you'll drop this lawsuit, that we can work things out, that you still love me." I turned to face her. "Sarah, do you remember what you said to me that night, when I confronted you about the party?" She looked confused. "I said a lot of things. You said you didn't tell me because you knew exactly how I'd react. Yeah, and I was right. Look how you reacted. You thought my reaction would be yelling and screaming and jealous accusations. Wasn't it? No. My reaction was a lawyer. My reaction was a lawsuit. My reaction was moving out and starting over. By the time you realized what was happening, I was already gone." The color drained from her face. "You're really not coming back, are you?" "No. Even if I promise never to lie to you again? Even if I cut contact with Kevin completely?" I picked up another empty box and started loading my books into it. "Sarah, the problem isn't Kevin. The problem is that when you had to choose between being honest with me and protecting my feelings, you chose to lie because it was easier. And then you justified it by telling yourself you were managing my emotions for my own good. I was trying to avoid unnecessary drama. You were treating me like a child." She was quiet for a moment. "So that's it? 3 years, and you're just done?" "Yes." "I hate you," she whispered. I looked up from my packing. "I know. I really, truly hate you." "Okay." She stormed out of the kitchen. 10 minutes later, I heard her car peel out of the driveway. The house sold in 67 days to a young couple who reminded me of Sarah and me from 3 years ago. They walked through talking excitedly about their plans for the spare bedroom and whether they should repaint the kitchen cabinets. After closing costs and realtor fees, I netted $47,000 from my half of the sale. Not a fortune, but enough to furnish my new apartment and start fresh. Sarah texted me the day after closing. "I hope you're happy. You got what you wanted." I started to type a response, then deleted it. Then I typed another one and deleted that too. Finally, I typed, "Yes, I am happy. I hope you find happiness too." She never responded. I blocked her number that evening. 6 months later, I was having coffee with Nicole at a cafe downtown. She'd asked to meet up, said she had something to tell me. "Sarah's engaged," she said without preamble. I nearly choked on my latte. "To who?" "Kevin." I stared at her. "Kevin?" "The ex-boyfriend Kevin?" Nicole nodded. "Apparently they started dating right after you moved out. She says they realized they'd never really gotten over each other." I sat back in my chair. "Wow. Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. I'm actually kind of relieved." "Relieved?" "It means I was right. About the party, about her feelings for him, about everything." I took a sip of my coffee. Part of me wondered if I'd overreacted, if I'd thrown away something good over nothing. Nicole shook her head. "Jake, can I tell you something? Sarah always talked about Kevin, even when you guys were together. She'd bring him up in weird contexts, compare you to him sometimes. I thought it was just I don't know, normal ex talk. But looking back, you don't have to explain. It doesn't matter anymore. Are you dating anyone? I smiled. Actually, yes. Her name's Amanda. She's a teacher. Very honest, very straightforward. No games. That sounds perfect for you. It is. We finished our coffee and said goodbye. As I walked back to my car, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Complete peace with my choices. 3 months later, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Sarah and Kevin, Saturday evening ceremony at some vineyard outside the city. The invitation was addressed to Jake Martinez and guest. I showed it to Amanda that evening. Are you going? She asked. God, no. Good. That would be weird. I threw the invitation away and took Amanda out to dinner instead. Sometimes I drive past the old house on my way to work. The new owners painted the front door blue and planted roses in the front yard. It looks happy. I'm happy too. Turned out my reaction wasn't yelling or jealousy or possessiveness. My reaction was standards. My reaction was self-respect. My reaction was knowing that love without trust isn't love at all. It's just comfortable companionship with someone who thinks they can manage your emotions by controlling information. Sarah got what she really wanted in the end, and so did I. That's the thing about honest reactions. They cut through all the noise and get straight to the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's always better than living a lie, even a comfortable one. Even if it takes lawyers and lawsuits and starting over in a one-bedroom apartment to get there.